Welcome to the Grow Down on Soil Health, the podcast where we dig deep into sustainable farming practices that can enhance your land and your bottom line. I'm your host, Dr. Ben West, Executive Director of Farmers for Soil Health, a program established by farmers for farmers, dedicated to improving soil health practices to enhance the environment and profitability of farmers. This podcast is in partnership with the Soy Checkoff, the Pork Checkoff, and the National Corn Growers Association. Today's episode is all about conservation adoption, trust, and technology. Tune in today to hear how conservation specialists like Aidan Walton are helping farmers across Illinois improve both stewardship and profitability. Today we're joined by Aidan, who's been serving farmers with precision conservation management since 2021. Aidan's a two-time Illinois State University graduate, earning both his bachelor's and master's degrees in agribusiness. He began his career at Evergreen FS, starting as a crop scout using drone technology to monitor plant emergence and health, and later assisting crop specialists with plant operations. Since joining PCM, Aidan now covers 7 counties, helping his cooperators increase conservation while maximizing profitability. In just 4 years, he's grown the north central Illinois region to nearly 100 farmers and over 100,000 acres. Recognized as a 2025 Field to Market Trusted Advisor, Aidan brings both expertise and passion to supporting farmers and advancing sustainable agriculture. Aidan, really appreciate you joining us today on the Grow Down.
Thanks for having me.
So Aidan, before we get into your job at PCM and your work with farmers, like so many people working in agriculture, you grew up on a farm, you have deep agricultural roots. As a matter of fact, your family farm just passed the 150-year mark. Sesquicentennial.
Yep, that's right.
Sesquicentennial. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Sesquicentennial. 150 years. What does that milestone mean to you and your family?
Yeah, so, the family farm means a lot to me. It's just a couple hours south of where we're at now. And actually, I didn't grow up on the farm, but I grew up spending a lot of time around the farm and on the farm. So it means a lot to me and my family. It's a beautiful property we have, something we're very proud of. And I think that's a testament to the ag industry that in today's world, you don't have to grow up on the farm. You don't have to grow up farming to be successful in this industry.
Yeah, so what was it that got you interested in agriculture as a career?
Yeah, so, Illinois State University had a great agriculture program. It's something that I had heard about when I was searching for majors and applying to schools. It felt right, having the farm background. It just felt right, and it was a great fit.
I think it's an amazing story every time I hear about centennial farms or older, about how much commitment and dedication a family has to have to steward a piece of ground for that long. Everybody thanks veterans, and I do too, really appreciate our veterans, but I really have the deep appreciation for families like yours that have spent over 100 years, 10 decades, stewarding the land that we all depend on. So thank you. Let's talk a little bit about your role at PCM and the work that you do. You literally are the tip of the spear. You're the one sitting at farmers' dinner tables and on their tailgates, talking to them about conservation practices. And as a result of your work and people like you all across the country, but particularly here in Illinois, seems like there's been it seems like we're in a time of a lot of momentum around conservation. Of course, farmers have been concerned about conservation for a long time, but it does seem the last 4 or 5 years they've ramped up even more their interest in and commitment to conservation. What have you seen in your 4 years at PCM here at Illinois? What are driving farmer conversations and decisions around conservation?
Yeah, so in the big picture, 4 years is not a long time, but in just those 4 years I've been with PCM, I have seen a lot of changes, a lot more conservation adoption, and I work with farmers all across the board, everyone who has been on the forefront of no-till since the 80s, to some of the later adopters who are just getting into the no-till, the cover crop practices. So I work with a wide spectrum of growers, and that leads to a wide range of conversations. But yes, definitely in the past 4 years, there is increase in conservation adoption, both in terms of reduced tillage, like we mentioned, cover crops, all sorts of things. And I think a driving factor of that, which is really a reason PCM was first started, was to address the concerns of the nutrient loss reduction strategy.
So nutrient management driving a lot of those initial decisions. But as you think about in the conversations you've had with farmers, like what are typically the things that push them over the edge to say, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try reduced tillage or no-till, or I'm going to try cover crops, or I'm going to try filter strips, whatever it is. What are the things today, particularly with the farm economy we're in, what are driving farmer decisions to do something new or to stick with what they've been doing for years?
A lot of times it's their neighbors. Neighboring farmers, trying out something new and maybe being the first guy in the neighborhood to make a change. They might get some weird looks at first, right? But when their neighbors, friends, and family sees that new practice they're doing is working, it raises some eyebrows. So that's definitely a big driving factor, as well as all the programs available helping to pay these farmers and incentivize them for their practices.
Yeah, financial incentives, technical assistance, really helpful. But as you said, at the end of the day, it seems like, farmers like all of us, advice, guidance from people that they trust seems to be a really important driving factor. And for many farmers in Illinois, you're one of those people. You spend a lot of time, as we talked about, talking with farmers about their operations and potential opportunities for conservation. Talk to me about those conversations. You being kind of the front line for farmers in some of these conversations, what's important to you when you first meet a farmer to develop and establish trust so that they will, they'll pay attention to what you share with them?
Yeah, trust is a huge part of my job. And to get my job done with PCM and collecting the data how we do, it only requires 3 meetings with a farmer per year. But I try to increase that number. I'm trying to not just reach out to the growers I work with when I need something from them, but throughout the year. During harvest, check in and see how things are going. Maybe after they apply a cover crop in the fall, boots on the ground, be out in the field doing some scouting for them. Just try to be present and let them know that I'm available. And a big part of the trust thing is if I get asked a question that I don't know the answer to, I've learned over the years to not try and fumble through that and make something up. Be honest. Honesty is a big part of this, and say, hey, I'm not certain. I don't have the best answer, but let me direct you to somebody who does have the answer. And that's a big thing here. We have a lot of connections, a lot of resources to help get these farmers in contact with others, and get their questions answered and get the ball rolling.
So you sit down with farmers regularly.
Yep.
But I'm guessing the toughest sit down is the very first one. So when you sit down with a farmer for the first time that you've never met or only met on the phone, what's that first meeting look like?
Yeah, a lot of times there's skepticism, and typically I start off a new relationship with a grower, through a couple texts or maybe a phone call. But yes, that first sit down meeting face to face, just a lot of time spent talking openly about who we are and what we do, and really the roots of PCM and why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and I know you're a data and technology nerd, like I am. So I'm guessing that pretty early on in that conversation with farmers, either the first or second meeting, you start using data to show farmers how certain practices could improve their profitability. Talk to me a little bit about how you use data and what data you use and how you use that as a tool to show farmers better options.
Yeah, so the most important tool that we have with PCM is called the RAP report, Resource Analysis and Assessment Plan. And that is a customized, individualized report that we provide to each of our farmers every year. And so that's an important tool, and I keep samples of that report to show prospective farmers who are interested in learning about what we do. I can show them that data and really make them feel comfortable right off the bat about what they're getting involved with.
And I'm guessing it's not unusual for you to sit down with farmers who've been farming the same ground for many years, but are surprised by some of the things that the data show them about their operation. Is that true? And what's that like?
Yeah, so our data set is pretty unique. So we're able to compare in-field practices against other in-field practices. So all of our data is anonymized and aggregated, and it's a very unique data set that shows farmers what practices are the most profitable, oftentimes in a way that they've never looked at it before.
And have you seen that by itself drive farmer adoption of practices or decision making?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And now that we have 10 years of data compiled in PCM, there is a lot of trust behind that. And a lot of that comes from the fact that we were born from Illinois Corn Growers Association. Every farmer out there knows corn growers, as well as a lot of our other partners. So there's a lot of trust and confidence built in already to what we're doing just from the partners that we have.
Yeah, I know your data pertains to the farm level, but also county level, state level. It's a big picture. And if a farmer said in just 3 or 4 sentences, what are the big takeaways from the data set that you have that should inform, my conservation practice adoption?
So our data has 3 main categories: cover crops, reduced tillage, and nitrogen management. So the key takeaway, starting with tillage, is that more tillage passes don't always pay for themselves. Our data shows that 3 or more tillage passes across the field historically does not pay for itself. So that's a big takeaway, especially for some of these conventional growers who are working ground multiple times a year. Thinking on nitrogen management, our data also shows that the most profitable nitrogen application range is between 151 and 175 synthetic units of nitrogen. And that can be a tough thing to show to some growers who are used to applying 225, 250 units of nitrogen. So that's the big takeaway there.
And that's immediate savings if a farmer reduces or is able to reduce their nitrogen inputs.
Yeah. Yep. And then our third main area of emphasis being cover crops. Like I said before, there is a lot of cover crop adoption. It is something that we're realistic about. Obviously, we promote cover crops, but the way the farm economy is currently, we are realistic about it in the sense that that's an added $40 plus or minus per acre. So we realize that not every farmer is going to add 1,000 acres of cover crops in a year. But if we can get someone to try it on 40 acres and be successful with it, that's a huge success for us.
The good news is if you're a farmer these days and you want to try some of these practices, there are so many programs out there to help offset the initial financial risk of trying something new. Farmers for Soil Health, our program is one of those. I know in Illinois you have many programs available to farmers. So it still does surprise me how some farmers have not yet started investigating what all of the financial support options there are for some of these practices. But as we talked about, that seems to be shifting right now, and everybody seems to be talking about it. But data, obviously, the management of farms going forward is going to look very much different than it has in the past because of big data and technology, and those go hand in hand. And again, someone who's on the front lines with farmers, how do you see technology changing how farms are operated over the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, the technology increases that I see, even from one meeting to the next with an individual farmer, is impressive. It really is. All the data, all the technology that we have, we're constantly trying to incorporate that into what we do and use some of those systems to return that and help the farmers. But yeah, the increasing technology is huge, and a big part of it that I'm currently seeing is drone use. That's a big thing right now.
So talk to me about that. 10 years ago, drones kind of emerged as a potential tool. A lot of people laughed at it. I was at a conference when somebody talked about that every farmer would be using drones in 10 years, and a lot of farmers around me chuckled.
Yeah.
Many of those farmers are using drones today. So talk to me about that specific technology and how it's being used now and how you think it will be used in the future.
Yeah, even 7 years ago now, when I first started scouting for FS and using some drones, it was kind of a whole new world. But yeah, fast forward to today, I work with a few growers who have invested in their own drones for their own farming operation, for spraying, fungicide, insecticide, and cover crop applications. So the use of drones is increasing quickly and becoming more and more popular.
It does seem like for many years the forefront of technology advancement in agriculture was seed development, then chemical development, then seed and chemical development. But it seems like we're on the cusp of an IT, phase of innovation that's going to incorporate big data, AI, and robotics to do some amazing things in agriculture long term.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, Aidan, really appreciate you joining us today. We've covered a lot of topics, big data, technology, and anything you want to leave folks with as they are farmers listening, thinking about, well, I might want to try this conservation practice or this one. What advice would you give to farmers who might be listening as they face really uncertain times over the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to try something new. Talk to neighbors, friends, go to your local soil and water NRCS office. Just talk to people, ask questions. Somebody out there will have a firsthand experience with whatever it is that you're thinking about trying. So just get out there, talk to people, ask questions. Don't be afraid to try something new. If you are in Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, or Nebraska, PCM does have operating regions in all of those states. So feel free to reach out to any of us, and we can guide you in the right direction as well.
Yeah, and if you're a farmer listening and you're not in one of those states, you can check out the Farmers for Soil Health website, farmersforsoilhealth.com. There's a list of technical service providers, technical assistant providers in every state, and they can help you whether you are interested in our program or not, or just want some advice about cover crops and sustainable agriculture. So really appreciate everyone joining us for this episode of the Grow Down on Soil Health. And Aidan, a big thank you for joining us today. Nice to meet you and get to know you a little bit.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and check out our website, farmersforsoilhealth.com, where you can find out more about our program and how you can get involved. Stay tuned for more insights on sustainable farming practices here. Until next time.